two, one. Rachel Beckett, you are the chairman of Wellburn Care, and you are the founder and creator of the We Care badge campaign. Welcome to the Care Home Show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So our paths have obviously only crossed comparatively recently, but I found out about the badge and thought, well, that sounds like something worthwhile getting behind. So it's great to have you on the show. Before we get onto the We Care badge campaign, please can you just let us know a little bit about kind of how did you get started in the sector, and a little bit of an overview on Wellburn Care itself.
So Wellburn Care's been running we're on our 32nd year this year. My dad founded the company all the way back then. We have 14 care homes now across the northeast, from as far south as East Riding to as far north as Berwick. And myself and my husband took the business on about 5.5 years ago now. So yeah.
Got you. And what made you transition from? I understand that you were kind of living in London previously. What kind of made you think to kind of transition from the London lifestyle, if you like, to get involved in the family business?
Well, yes, I've been in London since I was 19 and turned 40, had a successful interior design and architectural practice, loved living in London. I think there was a time where we were starting to think about maybe moving out of the city and what other areas we could explore and new challenges that we could take on. And at that time, my father was quite unwell. He actually came down to visit us in London and said that he wasn't going to be able to steer his ship anymore, and he needed somebody to come and take on Wellburn Care. It wasn't something that necessarily jumped out at me coming from a design background. It was a completely different sector, but I think life throws these challenges at you at the right time, and we came out, we did a few recce's up here, the family were right behind us, so yeah, we took the plunge and moved, and it's been great. A big learning curve, but it's been great.
Yeah, I can imagine quite a plunge to take. And I mean, from the conversations that we've had so far, you can tell that you love what you do. You're very passionate. You're very, I'd say that you're an ambassador for the sector. I know that you've done an awful lot of work, kind of, as we're hearing this, kind of during the COVID set of circumstances, to be doing a good job of communicating to the media to make sure that we're kind of doing our best to support the public's perception, if you like, of care. So it's obviously something in a comparatively short amount of time. It's kind of seems like it's in your blood.
Yes, it is. I wouldn't say I've necessarily wanted to be on national TV in some of the tired days that I've had, but just making sure that the message is loud and clear, and I think just the frustrations I think everybody was feeling at the time, certainly at the beginning, certainly when we first got hit, and the lack of support, and just trying to keep our team really motivated and focused and calm amongst all of that. There was some kind of need, I think, to really focus on something positive. And when we started thinking about various things in-house for our teams, about how we could keep the staff positive, how we could look after their mental health and make them feel appreciated, it was a light at the end of the tunnel, just to try and focus on something like that, because there's been so much bad press in the media, and the care sector, rightfully has had the recognition now, but I think it's also scaring a lot of people about what's going to happen to the care sector, what's happened to the residents that are in there and the residents that need our help. So
yeah, definitely, that's an interesting point, because there's I think we've talked about this before, but the three things that I'm really conscious of when it comes to the kind of the cost of COVID, if you like, there's going to be the human cost, obviously, there's going to be an economical cost, but the mental health cost is something that I'm really conscious of as well, for everyone in between. I guess people who are just stuck at home and who are just kind of feeling anxious about the whole set of circumstances, through to the people the care workers, the key workers, everyone who's kind of out there on the front line at the moment, really battling this and doing what they can to keep the country moving. Their experience throughout this is going to be really quite extreme, and I've had people who understand these things far greater than I kind of say that, look, it's likely that there's people are going to be experiencing some level of PTSD off the back of their experiences. So I think your feeling was absolutely right around, we need some positivity injected into everything that's going on, especially in the care sector, because of, well, all of the obvious reasons. So I think it's important to be able to push a positive narrative, because there is still incredible stuff going on in care homes around the country. That hasn't stopped, obviously, and that means that the frontline care workers and the people that are leading these care organisations are still working hard and still making great stuff happen, and they deserve respect and appreciation as well. Sector deserves probably some more funding as well, but that's a conversation maybe for another day.
Separate conversation, yes.
But yeah, so the plan for today was obviously just to talk through the care badge, just to hopefully give it a little bit more exposure and to get some kind of more understanding and experience for people who watch this episode and get behind it and get excited about it, as I have. So tell me, where did the idea for the badge actually come from?
So, coming from a creative background, it's kind of what I do. We've done a lot of stuff within house. We've got our own magazine. We're constantly sort of looking at new ways of raising the profile from a marketing point of view as well. So we were talking, we had a staff appreciation week, and we were talking the week prior to that about what we could deliver to the staff. We were going to try and do something different every single day. I work very closely with the designer in London. I've worked with him for years. He's super talented, Mikey Carr. And he and I were just having a chat about what we could do. A badge came into it, and I said, well, we've got, there is a care badge out there. We don't want to step on the toes of that necessarily, but this was more at the beginning about us and our team, and we wanted to create something that kind of made them feel all united. We have 14 separate homes, obviously, but we wanted to keep this team strong, keep them together. So we started talking about it in that perspective, and I think at the time Mr. Hancock was also talking about coming up with some representation for the rest of the UK, and this badge, this green care badge, but nothing was really happening about it. So we thought, well, why don't we make this available to everybody? And the more we worked on it, and the more we just became really proud of it. And I think the message that it was giving, and it was, bright and bold and symbolic and very COVID-19 related. So it wasn't, in my mind, replacing that Care England badge that they'd created. This was more about what we're going through here and now, and trying to really make the sector be noticed and not the forgotten sector that was very much coming up in the headlines. We are the second front line. Let's try and just create something that can kind of unite the workforce across the UK. So the more we got into it, the more we got really excited about it. And yeah, it's now become available to everybody, and the response has been great. I think it's just about getting the message out there to everybody. We've focused on our region to start with, but it's about trying to get everybody on board, and hopefully they feel as passionate about it as we do.
So this has all come about really, really quite quickly. Remind me the timescales that you kind of that you've gone from kind of concept through to launch and through to where we are today.
So just talking about the badge, about the colours, about the symbols that were involved, it was 9 days. So we came up with the idea. Mikey then went away and played with it, came up with some colours and some branding for it. And within 9 days, we had a new company set up, we had a new bank account, we had a website, fully functional shopping for you to be able to shop and purchase through. So it was, at the time, my FD thought I was bonkers because we had enough to do as it was, but being creative keeps me sane in times like that. And I think it was just nice, like I said before, to have something positive. I've never been so excited about a badge in my life, but it was just hope. It was just, it was something nice to try and push out there and get the recognition that we all do, all of our care workers deserve.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I think people almost underplay hope. Like hope's kind of a big deal, especially in times when we're in crisis and we're dealing with really difficult sets of circumstances, which obviously this is. So having something that's kind of emblematic of that, I think, is really, really key. And I like in my view, I don't think it detracts anything from the kind of the care badge that was created by the guys at EveryLife and supported by Professor Martin Green. I think it should be something that should be kind of almost complementary rather than competitive, because it's very much about the here and now. It's about what the sector and what the people in the sector are experiencing, and again, it's about hope. It's about being able to kind of see through this, kind of despite the kind of the challenges and the rocky road that the sector is obviously going to have to endure really over the next 3, 6, 9, 12, 18 months potentially. I mean, who knows kind of when the world kind of starts to regain kind of any level of normality, and then of course the big question, what does normal look like in the future, which again we'll just have to kind of wait and see on some level. So there's obviously lots of great initiatives in the sector relevant to COVID. Why was it, I guess, kind of important to you personally to launch the campaign?
Well, like I said before, it was just to let our staff know that we were all aware of what they were doing and their dedication and their hard work. And how do you try and symbolise that in something that they can potentially wear and be seen? So I think this was really kind of, the badge was the ultimate symbol that we thought would work really well. It's very cost effective for people to buy into from a provider's point of view. We've made that a cost purely because we want to stand and show that we're all united. The fundraising element of that is really about getting the public on board. And just going back to your point about the Green Care England badge, I spoke to Mr. Martin Green right at the very beginning when we came up with this idea, the day that we came up with the idea, and ran it past him. I said, I don't want to step on your toes. Obviously, this was something that you created. This is really, like you said, COVID-19 related and about the here and now. And he was more than complimentary of it and had our full support. So, yeah.
It's good to get Martin Green, I guess, with his position within the kind of the sector and things like that, to get his backing is important, and I'm sure that's contributed towards its success from the perspective of kind of getting his uptake and his endorsement on that, which is really fantastic as well. So one thing that you mentioned earlier that I just want to kind of loop back on, if you like. Tell me about the design of the badge and about its meaning, because there's obviously you mentioned Mikey. Quick shout out to Mikey. Obviously, quite a lot of thought and effort has gone into the design when you look at it. Tell me a little bit about that and kind of just about its meaning.
I'm going to show you it in full because I don't know, you can't really see it from the badge I'm wearing here, but. So the dots here are to represent every care worker, every resident, and everybody in our communities. The rainbow, like we talked about before, is about hope. I know we've used that massively for the NHS. We've used 2 colours here to represent all the men and women working in the sector, and the red path here about the road out of this pandemic and hopefully back to some sort of normal life, as you put it. We'll have to see what that will end up being and looking like. So that's kind of how we joined it in together, and then we created it into the circle, and it's just worked beautifully together. We wanted it to be colourful and bright and engaging, and like I said before, quite symbolic. So hopefully we've achieved that.
I like the colours. I like the design as well, and I think because it is so kind of bold, if you like, it adds to the positivity of the message. It's because it's got kind of these big, bold, kind of robust colour and pattern kind of mixtures, if you like. It definitely complements the purpose and the meaning of the badge as well, which I think is really, really cool. So again, well done Mikey for pulling off a great job there. It's it's clear why you've been working with him for so long, in which case. So yeah, no, good effort there. So One thing that one thing that we touched upon briefly there was Professor Martin Green's kind of endorsement, if you like, around the badge. I understand that you've got quite a few famous people on board who've also been endorsing the badge as well, which is fantastic news.
It's starting. It's only well, on the 30th is when we launched it, so it's just been over a week. Alan Shearer kindly, we tried to focus on people that were local to us and probably be a little bit more accessible. And Alan Shearer is, you know, the ultimate hero up here. So I managed to get a contact that put me in touch with his team, and they very kindly have come on board to represent it and be part of it. He, as soon as we found out, I was hanging outside the gates of his house, dropping off badges and picking badges up. And what they've done is he's signed a couple of badges for us. One we're using in a Facebook initiative, an Instagram initiative, and another one we will probably hold on to an auction at the end of all this. And all of that is to obviously raise money for the Care Workers charity. He's the first. We're busy trying to drum up some more. Anybody that feels that they can help in that way, that would be fantastic. I think a lot of celebrities are getting really hit with charities at the minute. We've had a couple of others that potentially are in the pipeline, but I don't want to say just yet because we're hoping in the next few days to kind of get that confirmed. But watch this space.
Got you. Well, fingers crossed. I look forward to seeing who's next on the lineup there. So, and how about kind of how else are you getting the word out there to raise the profile of the badge itself, and then obviously the looking to as you mentioned raise money for the CWC as well?
So as you see from all our social media campaigns, we're on Instagram is hopefully the main driver behind it. So we've got lots of different adverts going on there. The Care Workers charity is obviously pushing it on our behalf as well. We've got a Facebook campaign that we're doing, and you'll see that I've sort of mentioned it on LinkedIn and various other avenues. The thing that we're really trying to focus on is getting providers to really get on board with this, because the more that we have them involved, the more that then the message spreads through their network of families and friends and communities, and people then buy into it that way. We've had fantastic response from our communities and our 14 homes, and we sold a lot of badges to raise the money for the Carers charity that way. The idea is to try and get staff and families to wear the badge in their home settings and tag the campaign in, so support our carers on Instagram and We Care on Facebook, to just really kind of raise that profile and keep the momentum going. We've had really good response so far. I just want to kind of keep pushing with it and really like to see as many providers on board as we can get.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're doing a fantastic job from the kind of the original concept through to today. That's a small amount of time, and it just seems to be everywhere. And a lot of people are talking about it, which is just obviously fantastic. But yeah, got to keep banging that drum. Make sure that hopefully the message is just spread far and wide, and that people really get behind it. Because again, it's a lovely idea because it is kind of a small, cost-effective kind of investment, if you will, that firstly for the people in the sector is emblematic of the incredible work that's being undertaken. But then obviously with the fundraising element of this all as well, that just adds kind of another layer to it as well, which is just fantastic to see. So, what would, if you were to kind of summarise the goals for the campaign, like in your mind, what are you looking to achieve?
I just want the clear message to be sent back to the government. This is about a united sector here that hasn't had the recognition that it deserves, not just before this, but for a long time. But I think ultimately through all of this, it's been, and I've ranted on about it a little bit myself to the media, but it was very much at the beginning felt like the forgotten sector. When we first had our first outbreak in one of our homes, just the lack of support was shocking, and I think really hit home with our staff just how forgotten they were. Public health, when we first rang, couldn't go off the phone fast enough, didn't really offer the manager any support, refused any testing. So it is getting better, and let's not forget that, and things are moving forwards, but there's still an element of them feeling a bit sort of, well, what about us? And every time I think I've talked to the media and they've wanted to talk to our staff, that has come across quite clear. We are doing a fantastic job supporting the NHS in our communities, but we haven't really had that recognition. And so the badge for me became even more symbolic to that. And I think the more that we can get other care staff wearing it and showing the government, you know, look, we want to be noticed, we want to be recognised, and this is a symbol for you to see that, then ultimately to get every care provider in the UK supporting it would be fantastic.
Well, there's going to be a bit of work to try and get it to every single operator, but there's that's not to say that it's not possible, and that's not to say that an awful lot of people aren't going to get behind this, because again, it's a relatively small investment, but I think the upside from a let's say a campaign kind of brand awareness perspective, and then obviously for the CWC is going to be huge. So it's important for people to get behind.
Yeah, I think the more that the providers get behind it, the more that their communities will get behind it and purchase the badge from the online facility. And that is, you know, as much money as we can raise for the care workers charity is going to make a huge difference. And that charity is very, very poignant to be able to offer some support to the staff. And I think they're doing an amazing job. Just I keep reading about how much they've raised in the last few weeks. It's just incredible. And I really, really hope that we can be a big part of that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. We've obviously mentioned the CWC a couple of times, the Care Workers Charity. I'm kind of hoping I'd talk about it all. I'm kind of like an unofficial ambassador for the charity, just because I try and talk about it as much as possible. But yeah, so for anyone that's listening that hasn't heard of the CWC, for all intents and purposes, it's the care sector's charity, really, and it's focused very much on issuing hardship grants to carers past and present who have fallen on hard times, which, when we're in the set of circumstances that we are, if you like, the charity literally couldn't be any more important. So I'm friends with their exec chair and their exec director, Carolina Gerlich, and then their chair, Ben Allen, and we've been talking recently, and I've just heard the volume of inquiries that they've had for grant funding has just gone through the roof. I think even a couple of weeks ago, I think it had increased maybe 1,000%, and I can only imagine that number's probably gone on there. So super important charity. From your perspective, what was your kind of reasoning, if you like, to want the money to be raised to go to the CWC?
Well, for all those very reasons, really, they offer urgent help to much needed people in our sector, and I think, you know, it's something that we've not had before. And when it was created, it was a fantastic idea. I mean, benevolent fund for all people that need it in the sector is like you say, something from the past, but very, very much now in the present, of people really, really suffering right now. And to know that they've got some charity that they can reach out to that's specific to the care sector, I think is very poignant. So absolutely, as much as we can possibly raise for them is going to make a huge difference.
I think anyone that's interested in the charity, Google search the Care Workers Charity and just watch some of the videos of some of the lives that the charity's changed. Even the hardest person would be softened up by some of those videos, because they pull on the heartstrings, because the grant funds have literally changed people's lives, people who have experienced either financial hardship or domestic abuse, or, I mean, the list of things just goes on and on and on. But helping people to get back on a firm footing in life, literally, charity couldn't be any more important if it tried. So yeah, I think that was I love the idea of the badge, even before I'd heard that you were supporting the CWC with it, but it just kind of reinforced it with me as something that we had to get behind from an organizational perspective, and from the perspective of the podcast as well. So yeah, great decision as far as I'm concerned, and I'm delighted that you're doing that. How from one other thing that, again, I'd just like to loop back on that I'd like to explore with you. So residents and family members, how have they reacted to the campaign so far? I guess kind of within Wellburn, and then kind of, I'm sure that you're connected with kind of what's going out there in the wider sector. What's been the sentiment from residents and family members?
Oh, it's been great, the love and support that we've had from everybody involved in our family brand, and from right from the beginning, we've been very open and honest and very transparent with everybody related to that, and I think they've really appreciated just, you know, how communicative we've been, and we've had loads of different touch points, from hotlines to or online booking systems to Zoom calls to one-to-one little bulletins from the managers in the mornings to the families, and I think that it's really strengthened our team and our communities, and I get so many lovely emails and letters now that we were getting before, but now it's just a massive influx. I think they've all really, really appreciated that. At the beginning, when we shut our doors, it was a week before most providers up here. And I think at the beginning, they were a little bit kind of, you know, fighting me a little bit on that. And now they're just like, wow, if I'd known what I know now, I would have said yes to a week before. So I think we've got massive support now, and I think it's been great, and having something like the badge for them to focus on and get involved in, and along with all the other initiatives that we've been working on, has been fantastic. So no, the response so far for us has been overwhelming.
That's fantastic to hear, and not really, honestly, not really a surprise. It makes sense that the response has been so positive, and again, it just creates more energy. I think from your residents and your family members, their experience of everything that's going on, that's going to be kind of your brand and your reputation as you go through this, and that's obviously your connection to the communities that each one of your homes serves. And I think whilst there's some good quality objective journalism going on out there, there's some terrible journalism going on out there as well, which I think is having a negative impact on the public's perception. So getting them on board and to help them understand just as much as anything else, I think is really, really important. So I think as a consequence, as a secondary consequence of the campaign, that's something that I think is really, really important as well. And I think as a sector, we need to do everything that we can to try and help make sure that people do understand why social care is important, exactly what it does, and how it integrates with kind of the wider kind of healthcare machine. Because I think an awful lot of people just don't, and that's something that I don't think we're going to get the government to help us with that specific thing anytime soon, unfortunately. So it's a drum that we're going to have to bang together. So again, I think the campaign just really contributes towards that, which is great to see. Thank
you. Yeah, no, it's been a very difficult time for everybody across the nation, no matter what sector you're in. And I think, you know, just being able to try and focus and get some positive news stories out there about certain aspects of what we're all going through is been my ultimate aim. I think ITV had done an article on it, and we've had it in Wicked magazine, and there's a couple of other articles that are coming out soon. So the more that we can get some nice happy stuff out there in the press at the minute, I think would be very positive. And especially when we talk about mental health, I think now's the time where we really need to focus on that and really put some energy into thinking about that moving forwards.
Yeah, definitely. I think I understand that the DHSE have Department of Health and Social Care, that is, have in their app, there is part of that basically focuses on mental health. I don't know exactly what that looks like at the moment, but somebody mentioned that to me the other day, and I think that is something that will hopefully be a very well used functionality, because I think people will need a lot of support from that perspective as well, just to get through it, just to get to the other side, and to be stronger off the back of this. So as an operator yourself, what recommendations do you have for the care sector as they battle COVID? What are the kind of key things that you'd kind of recommend as somebody that's kind of sharing that experience with other people in the sector?
Well, I think, you know, me and my team, we've just had to stay calm, stay focused, think about, you know, the best way that we can carry on providing the best duty of care to our residents and our staff. And I know some days some of us have have been tired and overwhelmed, and just kind of supporting each other and picking each other up, and reminding us all of, you know, where we're trying to go with this and how we're trying to get out of all of this, and the support that we all need. And I think really just pushing the recognition that the sector needs. There's so many people now on these group chats supporting each other, and really kind of adding to the representation of us all united. I think that's going to be the thing that's really going to support people. And I do worry about some providers from the financial aspect. I know we're not going to harp on about that today, but there is a, you know, it's a massive impact at the minute, and that really needs the recognition. The sector really needs to be pushed. Martin Green does a fantastic job, as do some of his colleagues, and I think we just need to keep on with that, just keep pushing. And yeah, it's been a crazy time. Things are a little bit calmer on our end, but we don't know what's around the corner. And you know, with social distancing potentially easing up over the coming weeks, is that going to mean a second spike in the care sector especially? You know, it's very hard to sometimes contain that, and I think until we get more help on the testing and more support from our local authorities, it's going to be hard to keep battling through that. But we will, and we have to. And what else, you know, can we do? We have a massive duty of care as providers to just carry on as best we can, and hope that the support comes through.
Yeah, sure. I mean, from what I've seen, and I mean, I'm very well connected in the sector. I've tried to make an effort to speak to as many people from kind of leaders within the sector as humanly possible, and I think people are just focusing on doing the best job that they can in a really difficult set of circumstances. But I think the point that you made around the kind of the positive narrative, if you like, I think that is really, really important. And I mean, that's clearly kind of the way that it's manifested with you personally, is launching the badge, and again, hopefully lots of other operators and the kind of the communities also get behind the badge itself. But I think everyone's under a certain amount of has a certain amount of responsibility to make sure that people recognise social care for what it is. It's the biggest employer in the UK. We look after some of the most vulnerable people in society, and we do a bloody good job of it. So that kind of needs to be sung from the rooftop. So yeah, again, I think that just kind of links back to the fact that you launched the campaign. I think it's a wonderful idea, and yeah, hopefully this podcast will go some way to helping take it to that next level from a profile building perspective. I'll be sharing this with as many people as possible, and yeah, hopefully it does. Well, it will do exactly what it needs to do from a profile perspective, and then yeah, raise a shed load of money for the CWC as well, which will be good.
Perfect, thank you.
Very, very welcome. Well, look, where can people find out more about the We Care badge campaign?
So if they go online, it's www.showwecare.co.uk. On the first homepage there is a download page for press and for partners. There is a shop facility for you to buy the badge and make donations as well. And partners is for sections for the providers. You can also see it on Instagram, which is at Support Our Carers. Facebook, I think I said earlier, was We Care. And you'll see me beating the drum on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So yeah, ultimately the website's your first point of call. As soon as we get the orders in, we're trying to turn them around as quickly as possible. It depends on how many we get, and our badge supplier frantically printing out more. But we have quite a good stock at the minute, so we've sold a lot so far. So I'm yeah, fingers crossed we sell some more.
Well, hopefully the outcome of this and all the other efforts that are going on to try and raise the profile of the badge will mean that your itinerary will very quickly become an issue. I hope that's a challenge that you face in the future, but one that you can kind of balance out over time, because yeah, let's hope that the badge continues to sell like hotcakes, and it does all the important stuff that we've been talking about. So yeah, Rachel, it's been really, really good to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Good luck with the campaign, and I'm looking forward to just hearing about kind of its success in the future.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it.
Very, very welcome. Thank you.
Cheers.